Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I started becoming more and more enticed with the idea of pop production. Of just like, hey, like pop music's like getting cooler and cooler. And like I thought, so like just aesthetically, like the stuff I was hearing on the radio was like more and more interesting to me.
Totally.
And
it's getting more experimental.
Yeah. You just get more like, or even like I was doing like trap EDM, and then like Katy Perry's Dark Horse came out, and I was feeling like, man, like I was like making stuff like this already, and like now this is the sound of like radio pop. And there's this idea of like, oh, like I feel like the stuff that I tend to make tends to be like cool and a little ahead of the curve, like at least compared to like modern pop. So what if I like took that aesthetic and like put it more into pop writing? So I linked up with my friend Dan Goldberger, who is now out here, and we started working together. He's like a really great songwriter, and he introduced me to Pat Morrissey, who is an incredible producer and somebody who I work with a lot currently. And the three of us started a little production like trio, called BOD. And we had a little like another like little basement dingy studio that was disgusting. And we would just go in and just have the most fun, just like making like kind of pitch tracks, and it was very production heavy, like rather than songwriter heavy. So we just go in and make like just jam out and make almost like beats or like instrumental tracks for people to write to.
Was that all three of you working in the same room together?
Yeah.
So like a jam kind of a vibe.
Yeah, we would just jam out, and it was almost like a party vibe more than anything too. Like we'd have a bottle of Evan, and there'd just be, and it was as much about like the hang and like how much fun and like laughter we were having with each other as it was about like the music, which was also like really fun and cool.
Right. But it reflected that in like a really tangible way, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, it made me feel like understand how important it is to like really like the people that you're working with, and to be able to like have fun with them and laugh and goof around and stuff, because like music's supposed to be fun, right?
And I feel like learning that the vibe in the room really translates to the music. That definitely translates to the pop session thing too, because like, you know, if everyone is doing it day in and day out, there's a little bit of repetition to it, and finding something to kind of spice things up, or like, you know, just spark some inspiration, or like remember like what the stuff you're really excited about it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
or just have a good time.
So it doesn't feel like a day job, you know, like there should be things that keep you jazzed about coming into the studio. And to me, it's like working with people I really like keeps me jazzed.
Totally.
And working on songs that I think are cool, obviously, and like artists who are really talented or writers who are really talented keeps me excited. But yeah, so we did the BOD thing, just making these tracks, and Pat has a band called Mannequin Party, and they were scouted out by J.R. Rodham's team.
Crazy.
As like, you know, I think J.R. Rodham sampled one of their songs for something, and then his they had like reached out to Pat, and he kind of had a relationship, like an ongoing relationship with JR back in LA, where he would like send track ideas, and JR would like take what he liked and like, you know, kind of work them into his songs. And so we made this track called King of the Crowd, I think, and it was just this instrumental. And we sent it to JR, and it is what eventually turned into the Weezer single, Feels Like Summer. Yeah. But that was like 4 years later.
I was going to ask you how that came to be. So that was you guys jamming and then sending off.
Yeah, we would just like send off like what we thought were cool ideas to JR's team, and
was that like vocal and like a acoustic guitar kind of thing, or was that like textures?
It was textures. It was very much like cool drum beats and cool like just cool track vibes. You know, like here's a track that like feels like if you put vocals over it, it'd be really cool. And then,
pretty finished-ish sounding tracks, or was it just like here's like a start of like a vibe that's cool?
Finished-ish, you know, but not like definitely not finished, but like it's more like here's a really cool vibe and
cool song start.
Yeah, do what you want with it, but it wouldn't just be a song start. It'd be like here's a verse and a chorus section, you know, pretty produced out, but here's the stems if you want. They're like, you know, he'd ask for stems if he liked it, and then like work his like own stuff into it. And
Totally.
Do his thing with it. But so we did that, and that was, I mean, it was super fun. But we sort of fell into a rut in New York because like it just things kind of dried up as far as like the level of talent that was out there to work with. And like I'd meet somebody cool, like a cool writer, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm moving to LA." And there was just this vibe, this sense that like New York was kind of dying out creatively, which it was and is.
Like during the exodus of record people moving from New York to LA.
Yeah. So there's this huge creative exodus at every level. And it just became more and more just kind of depressing staying out there. Like I started questioning, like, why am I still here? You know, I mean, I'm from California. I have every reason to be back. I have every reason to like move to LA. And the tipping point came when like my closest friends, you know, Pat and Dan and Nisha as Nani, you know,
I love Nisha, and she's the one that introduced us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like so we were all like good friends out there, and my other friend Oshri too, who's an artist. All decided to just kind of move out around the same time. And I was like, okay, well, I better make the move now or else I'm just going to be completely alone here.
Totally isolated. Yeah.
So it turned out for the best because by moving together, we were able to kind of like maintain our community, and it just made the move a lot smoother. So that was 2.5 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys all, was it 5 of you, 6 of you all came out together?
No, we didn't come out together, but like, well, me and Nisha came out together with Oshri, and Pat and Dan came out a couple months before.
Okay,
but it was just sort of this wave, you know?
Right. Yeah,
and
I mean, within a couple months. That's
within a couple months. So we all just, and within the first couple months of there, like I was in an Airbnb with Nisha and Oshri, and me and Nisha decided like, oh, let's get a place together and just like do that. Like let's get a house, and like I would turn the garage into a studio and it would be cool. So we got the place in Glendale, and around that time Nisha had a song come out that she'd written with Toby Gad with Andea.
Yep.
And it was called Feel Good. And
amazing song.
Yeah, with like Elenium and Griffith. And so that came out, and Nisha and Toby threw like a pizza party to celebrate it.
That's fantastic.
And Nisha invited me, and at that time, I knew who Toby was, and I felt like he was at such a high level compared to where I was that like I had no business really like talking with him, or I was just like, like I just came out here, I don't have like anything happening, you know, I'm just another producer like ready to get lost in the sea. Right. But he ended up being at the party, and we kind of like hit it off, and he asked Nisha to he had asked Nisha to send he told Nisha that he was looking for like a co-producer and like somebody to kind of like keep his songs sounding fresh and cool.
Yeah.
And Nisha being Nisha, like she's a champion of her friends.
She is just the best.
Like she had like really talked me up to him and was like, yeah, Dave's like an amazing producer. Like he's awesome. You should definitely like give him a shot. So Toby asked me to send like some of my work. And when I heard that, I was like, I had such a low opinion of like my pop work at that point, where I was just like
what the hell do I send this
I was like, I don't know, like if there's anything that I'd want to send this guy, like he's up here, and I'm like, I didn't feel good enough about anything, so I ignored it.
Oh no, did you really?
I literally, and also I had just moved, so I was I was busy like kind of transitioning to like living there, so I just kind of like procrastinated from it. And I remember like a week later, Nisha messaged me and was like, hey, she was teaching Toby's daughter vocal lessons. She's like, hey, I'm with Toby, and he says that you didn't send him anything. Like, what the fuck? Do it. And I was like, fuck, all right, fine.
That's amazing.
So I sat down, and I didn't feel good enough about any of my like full songs, but I was like, but I do have a lot of cool production moments, like admittedly, that I think are neat. So I spliced together a reel. I spent like a few hours just taking like the coolest moments of like all the songs that I've done, or like the coolest like 10 songs that I'd worked on, and kind of just spliced up a highlight reel that was maybe like 2.5 minutes long. And
that's a great way. That was a great way to attack that problem.
Because I knew he was more interested in the sonics more than the songwriting, because he has the songwriting part on lock. So I'm like, let me show you like where I might be of value, which I think is a really important skill to have overall, is like kind of learning where you can add value to situations and kind of doubling down on that. So that was me feeling like, I guess I could add value to Toby's productions. So I sent him the reel. He listened to it and like immediately wrote back, hey, your sonics are great. Why don't you come by the studio tomorrow? And I was like, what? I'm going to go to Toby's studio? Like, this is crazy. I was like, how's this gonna go? Like in my head, I was like, he's gonna ask to hear more stuff, and then like be like, okay, yeah, like you're not quite seasoned enough yet, or like you're not ready. But I went in and played him a few more songs, and he was just like, hey, yeah, like I have a few sessions that I've done, I think he had a song with ROZES that later came out, and he was like, yeah, do you want me to just like, you want to just take the Logic session and just work on it? And he had another one with
so he just happened to work in Logic, and you were working in Logic at the same time? Yeah.
Well, I worked in Ableton at that point, but I still had Logic. I was still good with Logic, so
totally.
So he just like dropped me a couple sessions, and I was like, whoa, okay, I guess.
What weird universe is this where now I'm working on these Toby Gad songs?
Yeah, with artists on them. And
he'd already cut the vocals with
the vocals were on there with the artist, and his production ideas were in there.
Yep.
And he was just like, yeah, just do your thing. Like, just do how you hear it. Like, I just want to know like how you hear music. So just have fun with it and do your thing. And I was like, I'll try to have fun, but I'm not like, this is very high pressure for me. So, I mean, I ended up just like not sleeping for a couple nights and just really like going in as hard as I could on these songs. Cause I was like, this is such an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to mess it up. So I just really went in on the songs, and it was John Newman was one of the songs that he'd done a song with him and had the session for that, and ROZES. So he just like threw these two sessions at me, and I went in and like worked my best at them, and came back like a few days later and nervously played them, thinking like he'd probably not like them, and he was like, these are great, like, do you have the stems? Let's mix them. And I was like, what? Okay, so we mixed them on the spot. Yeah,
you're like, okay, now
I was like, that's crazy. I don't know. Yeah, so then he's like, cool, like I did this a few songs with Akon. Do you want to work on those? And I was like, yeah, I do. So he gave me these two Akon songs, and then he went on a trip because he travels a lot.
Right.
So I was just sitting with these songs, like, what do I do? Like, how do I make these cool? And it was another situation where I was just like in my room, my little bedroom setup at the time, just really like hammering away, trying to get this stuff to work and be as cool as possible. And I played them for him, and he liked them, and we mixed them, and he sent them off, and then that cycle just kind of continued with
that's crazy
more things that he'd bring me.
What were the Akon songs? I didn't see those. I like tracked down your Insta and just grabbed some like songs off there that you'd posted.
Oh yeah,
so I have a little playlist.
Well, the Akon songs haven't come out, but actually one of them that I did like a crazy drop on it that just felt really cool. It's kind of like a Jack U vibe at the time, and and Tiesto was gonna put it out.
All right, everyone, thanks for checking out the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for music by this week's guest and more info on the things we talked about. If you enjoyed the podcast, please tell your friends, leave us a review, or subscribe on the Bandcamp page. That's makingrecords.bandcamp.com. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.